Life can be really funny sometimes. There's so many different mind games that our mind can play on us. Just today, as I'm recording this episode, I kind of woke up with a lot of anxiety, a lot of money uncertainty, a lot of world uncertainty. And let's face it, the world is really uncertain right now. So, I can't blame myself for feeling uncertain, but the question is, what do you do with it? How do you process it? How do you even recognize what's real, what's not? Because as I was diving into this question, and as I talked to some people today throughout my day, I realized I had the exact same anxiety when I did have a job. Some of that anxiety is connected to being an entrepreneur, and like every day kind of feels like you have to make it up or it's not going to be enough. Like there's just a lot of entrepreneur anxiety. But I had that same anxiety even when I wasn't an entrepreneur. It was just different. And so I was like, well, I don't think it's real. I think my mind's been struggling from this for a long time. And through this story that I've been telling myself, it's been really hard to get through this. Now, why am I rambling on this? Because, as the title of this episode is, life is funny sometimes because we often don't realize when we're being played. We often don't realize what's fact or fiction. We often don't realize how our life is really not all we see it as. And our vision is distorted within that context of how we see it. And so within this idea of life is funny sometimes, I want you to remember that the feeling you're feeling today, and this is the advice that I gave myself today, is not permanent. Tomorrow, it may be there, it may not. But I can tell you a few days ago, I felt like $1,000,000. I was like, man, this is really good. Everything's going to work out. But then today, felt like it didn't. But then a few days from now, I'll be right back be up to the top. And so life is always this changing dynamic. And depending on where you're at in your own dad journey, depending on where you are at in your own journey overall in life, part that you might not be able to feel is every day might feel like the last day. That what you're feeling today is a world-ending cataclysm of an event, an Armageddon event. But life doesn't work that way. The sun always rises in the morning. Everyone goes about their day. Life continues to go on. Something that I remember learning last summer when I went camping with a good friend, Dan Zahner. We were up in the woods in northern Wisconsin. And in the northern woods, there's just trees and life everywhere. And the part that really hit me was life is so abundant. Like life is everywhere. People living their life all over the world, doing exactly what they want every day. And just because you're not there to observe it, doesn't mean it's not existing. And just because you feel anxious today, doesn't really mean it's real because other people are out there just living their best life, but you're not. So this is why all of this that we talk about in this podcast is important, because these feelings are important to understand where they're coming from, what they're trying to tell us. For me, this feeling is telling me to keep going. Keep going because I trust and believe in myself that I'm going to a place that's going to help create and shore up this anxiety. Now, I don't ever think that my anxiety around money will ever go away because I'm a human being, but I know that there's a certain place where I can get that money isn't an anxiety anymore. It's not something that shakes my ground to the core. So no matter what you're feeling today, remember, life is funny sometimes, and our mind can play some crazy tricks. And no matter what you're feeling today, I hope that this episode gave you some wisdom and hopefully gave you maybe some access into that everybody has these days, and that life is funny sometimes. And I'll be back again with you tomorrow.